And they basically just said, yeah, Winston's looking into it at the moment, essentially. And I said, I think the New Zealand public, or something to this effect, would really benefit from hearing this sooner rather than later. And at the moment it feels as though New Zealand may make the decision to not fund this organisation, which would be a really terrible outcome. So why are we wasting so much time with this bureaucratic system of looking over reports? And they did say, didn't they, that it's the internal investigation that is pending. So it's within our government that we're waiting on an answer from them. So why can't we hurry that up? What are the barriers to hurrying that up and that happening now?
And they didn't have, we asked that quite explicitly, and they didn't have much of a response. And so it feels like that is something they might actually shift on, because basically they just said, oh yeah, we just are finishing our investigation and Peters needs to consider the recommendations and stuff, but they didn't actually have anything. Yeah, for the other two demands, they were a bit, felt like we hit a wall a bit more.
What are they investigating?
It's like investigating allegations of UNRWA employees, yeah. So they were like, Peters wants to consider the results of those investigations before he makes his final decision about continuing funding or not. But they implied throughout that the funding will continue. They've just not committed to it, I guess.
Do you think that when they say we're doing investigations, that in fact what they're doing is collating and collecting information from Israel's investigations for the UN as opposed to doing anything?
I think it was the UN, and was it the ex-French foreign minister, or and so those two specifically. So it wasn't a New Zealand internal investigation, it was just reading those two reports. And they went at length to tell us that they've been speaking to the General Secretary of the UN, re the status of those reports. Didn't feel like that was a massive hurdle, but that process just needed to happen, and we'll encourage them to get on with that, which was great.
Yeah, like you said, Hannah, that we did kind of hit a wall with the Raycon conversation, and that their response to that was we need some evidence as to why you think these components that are being made by Raycon are actually ending up in Israel's weapons. So now we're going to get back to them with evidence about that.
And they sort of left an opening there. They were like, if you had better evidence for us, I wrote down what they said, because they're like, if we knew there was a link, they didn't make any commitments, but they were basically saying they would be really concerned about that, but they were kind of denying that there is a possibility of there being a connection.
Yeah.
I think there's a precedent for that, isn't there? There was some components that ended up in North Korea, and was it aeroplanes or something? A few years back, my memory's a bit vague on it, but there was some sort of precedent about a New Zealand manufacturer making components that ended up where they shouldn't be. Yeah, because of course there's embargoes and things in place against them. So yeah, I don't think it's the first time something like this has happened.
They left the door open, definitely.
Yeah. And then the troops in the Red Sea, I asked them why they're there. I asked them why are they killing people? Do we have any intention of sending more troops over there? They said we have no intention of sending more troops. They said that we have a long-standing presence in the region, and they also didn't. They said that we're keeping shipping lanes. Shipping security, maritime security is why we're there.
Are they killing anyone?
They didn't answer that.
Yeah, he said, we've already said what they're doing there.
Yeah.
And they were really, as expected, just like really strongly denying any connections between that deployment and Gaza. So every time we tried to talk about that, it was just like, no, it's holding up maritime law or whatever.
So they support maritime law but not other international obligations.
They'd love to flick the switch to bring peace and two-state solution, and bring an end to the conflict. They'd love to flick that big switch, but they realise they can't.
There's no switch.
There's no switch. And so we encourage them to maybe look at lots of little switches that we can to influence and join some other Western nations that are turning the tide on just implicit war sponsored by the US and the Israeli government and that brutal occupation. So that was our parting shot, probably, really, wasn't it?
That was a good parting shot.
To encourage them to be light on their feet and to look at making some real impactful difference to back up their words and rhetoric at the UN.
Did they make any comments on the announcement last night from Ireland, Norway and Spain regarding recognition of Palestine?
Yeah, they said they're following the comments and the background information around that and have been discussing it with other agencies and other nations. So yes, they are watching and interested. Read between the lines.
So did they leave with any actions on their part that they undertook, or they left it all in your hands?
They're going to pass on some messages to the minister, but that was about it, right?
Yeah. The main thing we pushed was the UNRWA commitment sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really hope that they come out with that sooner. There's nothing stopping them. And also potentially an opening on the Raycon stuff.
Yeah. They said that the Raycon thing is something that they would be concerned about if they had evidence that was happening. So bring us some evidence, basically.
Yeah, just on the reason I was talking about, it was an aircraft maker, Pacific Aerospace, and they were fined $74,000 will be for illegal North Korea exports. So Kiwi companies have been found to do that before. You know, of course, there's sanctions and things in place, it's a bit different, but it's certainly not unheard of for that to be happening.
That's about it, really.
About it. Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Oh, a bit wired and like I'm in a weird dream, to be honest. But I'm happy that we had a meeting, even if it was just for them to be able to say we had a meeting. Yeah, just a bit sort of dreamy. Yeah.
They did deliver a message from Winston Peters here.
Oh, they said he couldn't be here today because he has a meeting or something.
Well, the House is sitting and then he's got to...
Yeah, that's right. Any other thoughts or questions?
I just think it's amazing what you're doing, and I know a lot of people are thinking, can I join this person and what he's doing, and perhaps we don't have the confidence to do so, and I'm sure that there's people in Gaza even now who they know about it who would just be really feeling the love and the solidarity with you. So there's a lot of us thinking about what you're doing and thinking about you and your family as well. So
Yeah, I have heard from some people in Gaza, and their sentiment actually is that you'll do more for this cause alive. Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Thanks for being here.